The Jurassic is often imagined as the age of dinosaurs, a world ruled by gigantic sauropods and terrifying theropods. But there were places where even dinosaurs were not always the uncontested rulers of the land. Hidden along the tropical margins of Gondwana, in what is now Madagascar, another kind of predator stalked the floodplains. A predator not descended from dinosaurs at all, but from a different branch of archosaurs, ancient crocodile relatives that had turned into fully terrestrial hunters. This was a fractured tropical world where early mammals hid in the undergrowth, and one of the Jurassic's most formidable predators evolved, far from the familiar fossil landscapes of North America and Europe. Around 167 million years ago, during the Bathonian stage of the Middle Jurassic, Madagascar was not yet an island. It occupied a critical position at the heart of Gondwana, still fused to Africa, Antarctica, and India. Yet beneath the surface, the supercontinent had already begun to tear itself apart. The crust was stretching. Fault systems opened enormous sedimentary basins, such as the Mahajanga and Morondava basins, while the waters of the Tethys Ocean slowly pushed southward into the widening Malagasy Gulf. These incursions created a shifting mosaic of environments: coastal lagoons protected by coral barriers, tidal flats, mangrove-like wetlands, river deltas, and broad alluvial plains. The climate was warm, humid, and subtropical. Vast forests of Araucarian conifers towered over dense understories of cycads, ferns, and horsetails. Seasonal rivers carried sediments into shallow coastal systems, where marine and terrestrial ecosystems overlapped. The rocks preserving this world, particularly the Sakkaraha Formation and the marine Bamaraha Formation, record one of the strangest ecosystems of the Jurassic. And this environment was alive with giants. By the Middle Jurassic, dinosaurs had already undergone dramatic diversification since their expansion after the end Triassic extinction. Sauropods were increasing rapidly in size, transforming into immense herbivorous walking deforestation machines, capable of stripping enormous quantities of vegetation. Their longer necks allowed them to exploit different feeding heights, while their column-like limbs supported bodies reaching unprecedented masses. As herbivores became larger, predators followed. Across the Jurassic, theropods had begun an evolutionary arms race with these giants, increasing in size and developing more specialized hunting adaptations. Madagascar preserves evidence of this transition through isolated theropod teeth and vertebrae belonging to several lineages. Some fossils suggest the presence of early abelisaur relatives, ancestors of the bizarre horned predators that would later dominate Gondwana during the Cretaceous. Other remains point toward megalosaurid theropods, similar to the famous European Megalosaurus. Coelurosaurian theropods may also already have been present, indicating that several major predatory dinosaur groups were diversifying simultaneously within these ecosystems. Large herbivores also roamed the floodplains. Among them was Laparentosaurus madagascariensis, a sizable sauropod whose heavy footsteps would have shaken the muddy ground near rivers and lagoons. Though not as colossal as later Jurassic giants, it represented part of the growing eusauropod radiation spreading across Gondwana. Hidden beneath the shadows of giant reptiles lived Ambondro mahabo, one of the earliest known mammals with trebosphenic molars. The specialized tooth pattern later associated with most modern mammals. This tiny animal, probably nocturnal, insectivorous, and covered in fur, provides crucial evidence that advanced mammalian features were already evolving independently in southern continents. It may have belonged to Australosphenida, a lineage related to modern monotremes such as the platypus and echidnas. While mammals remained small and elusive, crocodile relatives were experimenting with entirely different lifestyles. One of them was Andrianavoay bahari, a recently described teleosaurid crocodylomorph adapted to marine life, with its long, slender snout resembling that of a modern gharial. It hunted fish and cephalopods in coastal lagoons and shallow marine waters. Unlike the terrestrial crocodylomorphs common elsewhere, Andrianavoay occupied the waterways and coastlines of the Malagasy Gulf itself. But Madagascar's true ruler was something far more terrifying. Its name was Razanandrongobe sakalavai, often shortened to Razana. In the Malagasy language, the name means ancestor of the giant lizard of Sakalava. At roughly 7 meters in length and weighing perhaps close to a ton, Razanandrongobe was one of the largest terrestrial predators of the Middle Jurassic anywhere on Earth. Yet despite its size and power, it was not a theropod dinosaur. It was a crocodylomorph, an ancient relative of crocodiles, and the oldest known member of the Notosuchian lineage. Its anatomy was astonishing. The skull was deep and massively built, while the teeth bore enormous serrations even larger than those of Tyrannosaurus rex. These were not teeth designed merely to pierce flesh. They were adapted for crushing bone, tearing tendons, and processing hard tissues. The bite force must have been immense. Unlike modern crocodiles, Razanandrongobe was fully terrestrial. Its limbs were long and erect beneath the body, allowing it to move actively across land rather than sprawling near water margins. In life, it may have resembled a grotesque fusion between a giant land crocodile and an uncanny quadruped theropod predator. Thanks to its immense size and extraordinarily powerful jaws, Razanandrongobe may have been capable of attacking even large sauropods, tearing through flesh and crushing bone with serrated teeth, adapted for processing tough tissues. It likely also scavenged carcasses scattered across the floodplains and coastal margins. For many animals sharing this environment, encounters with such a predator must have been terrifying. Even enormous sauropods, towering giants that dominated Jurassic landscapes elsewhere, may have been vulnerable to ambushes from this colossal crocodile relative. The sight of a massive predator emerging from the dense vegetation or stalking along muddy riverbanks must have turned parts of Jurassic Madagascar into one of the most intimidating ecosystems of its time. So in Madagascar's ecosystems, it likely competed directly with large theropods for dominance. An important window into this ecosystem comes not from bones, but from the ground itself. The vast Bamaraha fossil track site preserves one of the clearest records of how the many components of Madagascar's Middle Jurassic fauna interacted within the same environment, revealing movement patterns, coastal behaviors, and the shared landscapes crossed by predators and herbivores alike. Far from being just an isolated collection of footprints, this area has been described as a true mega-track site, extending across at least 30 square kilometers of ancient coastal terrain. Some trackways can be followed for kilometers, offering a rare snapshot of how animals actually moved through this Jurassic landscape. These tracks were left behind on broad intertidal flats shaped by tides, shallow lagoons, and coastal mudbanks along the margins of the Malagasy Gulf. Under the humid subtropical climate, the muddy sediments periodically dried beneath the sun before being buried by new layers of sediment, preserving the footprints in astonishing detail for over 160 million years. Most of the tracks belong to bipedal theropods, many assigned to the ichnogenus Kyantarpus. These predators moved along the shoreline in preferred directions, likely following the coast in search of prey or scavenging opportunities. Sauropod footprints are much rarer, but their presence is no less spectacular. At sites such as the Sahalali River area, gigantic quadrupedal impressions reveal long-necked herbivores crossing soft coastal plains. Their enormous weight compress the mud deeply enough to preserve the shape of their feet and movement patterns. And somewhere within this same landscape, among the prints of theropods and sauropods, the colossal Razanandrongobe may also have moved across the floodplains, an apex predator sharing the shores of Jurassic Madagascar with dinosaurs, marine reptiles, and some of the earliest mammalian relatives known from Gondwana. The existence of such a predator raises fascinating questions. Why did a crocodile relative, not a dinosaur, become the apex predator here? Part of the answer may lie in Madagascar's unusual tectonic and ecological position. During the Middle Jurassic, the region was simultaneously connected and isolated. It acted as a biological bridge between northern and southern Gondwana, while increasingly fragmented coastlines and newly forming marine barriers divided habitats into ecological pockets. These unstable environments may have encouraged evolutionary experimentation. Crocodylomorphs in Madagascar were exposed to coastal systems, tidal plains, river deltas, and seasonal flood environments, unlike those found in many inland Jurassic ecosystems. In such habitats, a highly adaptable terrestrial crocodylomorph, capable of exploiting large prey and scavenging carcasses, may have gained an advantage over more specialized theropods. As tectonic rifting intensified, these ecosystems continued to change. The gradual widening between Africa and Madagascar altered coastlines, sedimentation patterns, and ocean currents. Habitats fragmented. Faunal migrations shifted. New dinosaur groups expanded into Gondwana, while older ecological structures disappeared. Eventually, this strange Middle Jurassic world faded. The giant terrestrial crocodylomorphs declined, while more specialized dinosaur predators diversified further during the late Jurassic and Cretaceous. Madagascar itself slowly transformed from a continental crossroads into an isolated drifting landmass, carrying fragments of ancient Gondwanan ecosystems into the future. Yet the fossils of the Sakaraha and Bemaraha formations preserve a remarkable snapshot of this forgotten time. The jaws of Razanandrongobe remind us that the Jurassic was far stranger than the classic image of dinosaur supremacy suggests. Because in this corner of Gondwana, beneath humid conifer forests and beside tropical lagoons, the true king of the ecosystem was not a dinosaur at all, but a colossal land croc from a world now lost to time.